Movies. Webster's defines. Hey everyone, making good on the rest of that poll that I put up on Patreon with what's on my movie shelf. There's nothing. So thanks for watching, and no, I've done this for a reason, obviously. Yes, hello. I'm a movie guy, as you might expect from the thing that it is I do. I studied film in college, and as such, I have an extensive movie collection. Not as extensive as some collections, perhaps, but extensive enough that it became the entire top shelf of my bookshelf. There's nothing in there right now, because the conceit of this video is revealing to you what's on the shelf, and if everything were in there now, you could just pause the video right here at the beginning, get it all for yourself, and then go on your merry way. My movie shelf is organized in a couple of ways, and so what I thought I would do was empty the whole thing out. It's all precariously placed around me now, just out of frame, and bit by bit, we'll go through what I've got, talk about it, if there's anything to talk about, throw it up there. By the end of the video, we'll have a once more complete movie shelf. Without further ado, I now give you what I've got. Starting from the far end of the shelf, it all begins with a number of movies at once, and that is my complete Wes Anderson filmography. Wes Anderson is an interesting director. He is, if not my favorite director, makes some of my favorite movies. There's plenty to criticize Wes Anderson for, but when you're first becoming a movie guy, he's very attractive because he has one of the strongest visual styles, I think. It is, when you're going out and trying to make an effort of recognizing visual style, Wes Anderson makes it pretty damn easy for you. And even today, no longer being a movie baby, there's still something attractive about that very strong visual style, that extremely particular sense of mise-en-scène, mise-en-place. Also, I just like it. Talk a little bit about the movies themselves. The rest of my bookshelf is organized by DVD and Blu-ray. The only two of Wes Anderson's films on DVD that I have are The Royal Tenenbaums and Bottle Rocket. And they are also probably my two least favorites of his, and I've also watched them the least. And then the rest of all of these actually are Criterion Collection, except for Isle of Dogs, of course, which is not yet a part of the Criterion Collection. Rushmore I find particularly special because it conveys this certain sense of like childhood civilization, I feel, that was always present in the shows and cartoons that my sister and I would watch as kids, and that like we tried to take into the things that we made. Life Aquatic is another one I've only seen once. I need to give this another go. I remember liking the boat, and the costume design is very good. Darjeeling Limited was, I think, my favorite for a while. It's been brought down a little bit since realizing that maybe there's something wrong with a movie about a bunch of white boys going to India and having a quote-unquote spiritual experience. Like the soundtrack, though. Fantastic Mr. Fox is perfect. It's a perfect film. I love it. I love these furry creatures. Moonrise Kingdom. What's great about this Criterion Collection edition, I love a well-designed Criterion edition of something. You've got like this yearbook photo style of everybody, and then you've got the disc itself is adorable. You gotta know I'm a sucker for a map. And then, of course, Grand Budapest Hotel just came out on Criterion last year, I believe. This is my favorite Wes Anderson film. It's beautiful. I love all the little things it does. I love the soundtrack. I love absolutely everything about it. I love it. Let's put Mr. Anderson on the big board. All right. Now, for God's sake, let's move on. Starting over here, coming this way, we get into DVDs before we get into Blu-rays, starting with Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese. It's Taxi Driver, baby. Taxi Driver was one of those films that I watched as part of this series of like, oh, I should watch that movies, which included like Citizen Kane. Speaking of all-time greats, next up we've got Space Jam. Amy Dawes from the Los Angeles Daily News called it an ingenious blend of live-action comedy and cutting-edge animation. Gave it 4 stars. I think that's all you need to know. Next up, another collection. This is very special to me. This is a 10-episode season collection of The Platoon of Power Squadron. This is a television show on the internet, a web series, I believe they call it, that I had the pleasure of working on with some of these fine people right here. Look it up. Give it a shot. You should try it out. The first couple episodes are a little rough, and then they get some money. Just stick with it. Moonstruck. Oh, Moonstruck. When the moon hits your eye, get a big pizza pie. And then, I love this movie. Cher and Nicolas Cage. When are you're never gonna see those two together again. I love it. I love it so much. Mom, getting married. Do you love him? Yeah, I love him. That's terrible. You can't beat it. Up next we got Looper, Bruce Willis, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This is one in my series of, do I have all of, I don't think I have, this is a Rian Johnson movie. Very good. I liked it. I saw it in theaters with a friend of mine in college. I liked it. I thought at the time it was one of the few films I'd seen that did time travel satisfactorily. We got The Host coming in. Ooh, don't be fooled by that cover. This movie ain't scary. You're gonna love it. Show it to your kid. Don't show it to your kids. It's a little too scary for your kids. Bong Joon-ho. First Bong Joon-ho movie I ever saw. Saw it in film studies class. These are all alphabetized. I don't remember if I mentioned that. They're alphabetized as well. So as we're putting them down, we're going reverse. They're alphabetized top down, we're putting them in bottom up, so we're going reverse alphabetically, just so you know. Moving on, we got Her. I loved Her when I first saw it. I haven't seen it in a little while. It's good, cool use of color in this film. There's a video essay out there somewhere that I watched at some point about color in Her. Interesting stuff. Also, Arcade Fire scored that movie. Jumping back on the horror train, Anton Yelchin, Imogen Poots, Patrick Stewart. It's Green Room, folks. I saw this in theaters when it came out. Loved it. This was Jeremy Saulnier. Saulnier? I'm not sure how you say that. Jeremy. J-Man. I have not seen his other film. He did a film called Blue Ruin. I rented that from the library. The disc was scratched and stopped halfway. I returned it, and then I never sought it out again. I've only seen half of that film. I'm sorry. Also, fun story. I went to see this with a group from college. My old film studies professor and a couple of the other of her students went to see this together. After the film ends, this gentleman in the front row, or a couple of rows in front of us, he stands up, he turns around, he says, "What did you think?" We were all like, "Oh, we liked it. We thought it was great." And he was like, "Oh, that's really cool. My nephew directed that." Got to meet Jeremy Saulnier's uncle. I didn't know he was a local. All right, we got our first repeat, Grand Budapest Hotel. I already had it on DVD, and then it came out on Blu-ray and Criterion. I'm not gonna pass up Criterion Collection edition of a movie I like. Oh, here it is, folks. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. One of the best standoffs in cinema history you'll ever see. It's a beautiful film, beautifully shot film. Who is it? Ennio Morricone, the score. Classic. Ah, yes, this was next up in my series of movies I thought I should watch. We got Gene Hackman, The French Connection, one of the great car chase scenes of all time, as recommended by my father. This was another find at Half Price Books. This is this interesting, like, iridescent cover. I liked it. It was a little, it's very 70s. It was a little less, solid. If you haven't watched 70s cinema, and you're really prepared for the extremely hand-holding structured plots of the 2000s and today, you're in for a treat, because movies in the 70s didn't think you were a complete idiot. Ooh, we got Ex Machina, which was a favorite of mine for a while. It's been two or 3 years since I watched this last. Donald Gleason, Oscar Isaac, Alicia Vikander. Oscar Isaac is extremely good in this. You get the dance. If you've seen the gif of him dancing, this is where it's from. It's a real trip. It's a real mind trip. Keeping on the train of classics now, it's Donkey Kong Country and the Legend of the Crystal Coconut. This is a long story. I got this for my birthday one year, because I asked for it, believe it or not. I was trying to find, we had a VHS of this as kids. I thought it was a movie at the time. Turns out it was actually several stitched together episodes of a television series, which looked like this. Long story short, this is not the same as the VHS. It's different episodes. But this series has a special place in my heart because it sucks. I have another copy of this one. This is another duplicate, not in this room, but out in the living room's movie shelf. We have Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. This is the, let me take this out. This is the edition which comes in a Batman mask that I guess you or more likely your dad can use to pretend they are the Batman. I'm also just kind of a sucker for weird DVD cases. What am I supposed to do with this? Ooh, back to Rian Johnson with Brick. Brick is one of my favorites. It's an extremely good, hard-boiled detective neo-noir. Takes place in a high school, but everybody talks like a noir in the 30s, you know, like they have that cadence and all of the slang. It's good stuff. Birdman, we got Birdman next. I haven't seen Birdman in a long time. All the DVDs, it's like a trip down memory lane. I also remember being impressed with the simulated one take of the whole thing. So that's cool. Last disc for this column, it's Beck on stage. Not a movie, not a TV show, but a concert. I found this at, again, a Half Price Books. I'm a big fan of Beck and his particular music. I've never watched this. Wow, though, look at how little he looks. He's an old man now. Starting off the next column right, we got Season 1 of Battlestar Galactica. This is the early 2000s NBC Battlestar Galactica. I love this television show so damn much. I watched it religiously in college when it was on Netflix. It's sadly no longer on Netflix. This is the only season that I own physically. Maybe one day I will seek it out and own them all, and that'll take up another shelf. And the final DVD, special edition director's cut of Battle Royale. This is another one that I watched in film studies. This was in a horror film class that I took later in college. This is great. This is a Japanese film. If you're unfamiliar with Battle Royale, dystopia, students are shipped to an island and they have to kill each other, and whoever survives wins something. I don't remember, but it's extremely good. All right, breaking into Blu-rays and reverse alphabetical order. Remember, kicking it off with Young Frankenstein. What's up, Gene Wilder? Oh yeah, I just recently got this for Christmas. Was it? I think it was either Christmas or a birthday. The complete collection of the original Wallace and Gromit shorts. You got Grand Day Out, Wrong Trousers, Close Shave. The Wrong Trousers is just a triumph of not only animation, but also physical comedy. It's hilarious, and I love it. And if you've never seen The Wrong Trousers in your life, that is the one I would recommend to you. When I was a kid, A Grand Day Out was my favorite because it was a little less scary and it had a spaceship in it. But now I think The Wrong Trousers is the way to go. A Close Shave is really dark. If you want to watch this with your kids, A Close Shave is pretty scary. I mean, like, it's Wallace and Gromit, it's not gonna scare, but it scared me when I was a kid. You have those colorful little yarn balls, though, so it all evens out. Gromit's framed for murder. All right, here's one you can show your kids. We got Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me. Twin Peaks is something that I had not gotten into until just recently. I watched through the whole thing with my girlfriend over the course of a year or more. Love it. Loved every second of it. Not every second of it. There were some episodes that could have hit the cutting room floor, let's say. We just recently started The Return, the third season that it got, and still have not finished it, but again, loving it. Twin Peaks is so special. Twin Peaks is also the extent of my experience with David Lynch's work, and I really need to remedy that and watch some of his other films. Oh, here we go. Attack of the big budget franchises, baby. It's Star Wars The Last Jedi. I got this big fancy special box edition of it because I hated it. No, because I love it very much. It was a great film, I felt. Also belongs in the Rian Johnson canon of films, so that's a third for him. I forgot I had this. I have the Force Awakens as well, the precursor. This is episode 7, Last Jedi, episode 8, episode 7. It's not bad. All right, let's swing into this next feature. It's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Saw this in theaters here in New York at the Alamo Drafthouse with my girlfriend and my sister. So good, extremely good. I think it's on Netflix right now. You can find it, seek it out. If you slept on this one, wake up. If you slept on this next one, that's fine. Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. I just got this for my birthday, from my sister. Thank you, sister. Listen. I liked it. But that's because I'm me. It's not a good movie. Here's a good movie, a classic. It's Some Like It Hot on Criterion. It's our next Criterion edition. This is a film that I watched over and over as a child because my parents were into showing us classic films, I guess. I don't know. They wanted something vaguely family-friendly, and so we watched this a lot. It's a classic. It's on Criterion for a reason. If you're looking for a good old black and white film to watch, Some Like It Hot is the one, in my opinion. Hey, here's Edgar Wright. We got Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Is this a collector's edition of some kind? It looks the same on the inside. That was not the reveal I was hoping for. Saw this in high school. Perfect time to see this film. Loved it. Edgar Wright's editing style and shooting style has always had a big influence on me. And so it is special in my heart in that way, and also for a lot of other reasons, a lot of inside jokes with friends, and some good visual comedy in this guy. Edgar Wright is good at that. Okay, so this is confusing because alphabetically this is where it belongs, but maybe it should go elsewhere. I'm talking about Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Saw this in theaters. Thought it was just okay, and then I saw it the second time, and I was like, no, you know what? Actually, this is very good. And then for some time later, I was like, actually, I think that movie was bad. And now I've come around again, and I think actually it was good. You know, it could have used maybe one more rewrite. Cassian Andor maybe could have gotten some more screen time. Maybe we could have learned a little bit more about some of the other folks. Good, though. A good movie. You're not going to see much anime on this list, but what you will see, definitely, is Redline. Redline is an incredible film about a intergalactic death race run by humans and aliens alike, and this young man with very big hair who decides to run it with a slightly modified, what is that, a Trans Am? It's really good. It's mostly really visually impressive. It's all hand-drawn. I think it took something like 6 years to make. There's some cool special features on this one, so if you watch it and you enjoy it, check out the special features, they're cool. I forgot Pulp Fiction was in here. Why is this over here? All my Tarantino films are over in the living room. I don't know. Pulp Fiction was another one in the series of college to post-college that I was like, I should have watched that. That should be in my compendium. And now I have watched it. And there's a lot in there to like. And probably equal amounts to dislike. Probably very groundbreaking in its time. I don't know that I would watch it again. I think I'm okay. There are a lot of ways to feel about Quentin Tarantino. All of them valid. Going back to beautiful Criterion editions of things, we got The Princess Bride over here. Peter Falk? He's not in it much, but where he is, it counts. Andre the Giant? Mowage? It's a good film. Keeping on the Criterion train, we have a double feature here. Jackie Chan in Police Story and Police Story 2. I had not heard of these films before they came out on Criterion, and then I saw the promos for them and decided that I had to, because Jackie Chan is an incredible human being. In the second one, an entire big... I shouldn't give it away, but it's big. And you should watch Police Story 1 and 2, because they culminate in some incredible martial arts choreography that must be seen. Alright, we got a lot to get through here. Let's speed up. We got Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, a holiday classic. Ooh, another Criterion. Look at that. Parasite. Bong Joon-ho, I told you he would be back. Parasite, another one I had the pleasure of seeing in theaters. If you have issues with blood and general sort of tension, might not be for you, but the anti-capitalist message contained within cannot be beat. Pacific Rim. Hey, do you just want to have some fun? Night of the Living Dead. George Romero, great example of horror films being great because they are not about what they are about. You know, it's not a zombie movie. it's a racism movie. Final disc in the stack, keeping to Criterion. We've already talked about it, so I don't have to say anything else. It's Duplicate. It came to Criterion. I couldn't pass it up, you know me. It's Moonstruck, baby. The Matrix. We got all 4 films. 4 films. Oh, the Animatrix is on. Ooh, I should watch the Animatrix. I never watched the Animatrix. I've watched all 3 Matrix films. I love them. We've got It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. This is another one that my parents showed us as children. Back on the Chris Nolan train, we got Interstellar. I wrote a paper on this film. I still think it's great. Anything about space will always draw me in. This is so funny, splitting 2 of the Chris Nolan films that start with I. We've got Inside Llewyn Davis. This is a Coen Brothers film. I watched this at the recommendation of a friend of mine, Tim Farron, who I was working on a documentary with in Chicago at the time. Great look at an idea of what the early folk scene, or late folk scene, I suppose, once Bob Dylan shows up. It's a very good story. You got John Goodman in there, who's a complete asshole. Not John Goodman himself, of course, but here it is. It's Inception, of course. This is where I first fell in love with Chris Nolan. No, I guess that would be Dark Knight, but in high school, this hit me right in the I am a high school aged boy zone, and it'll always hold a place in my heart. I think it's a really cool idea, and another example of films not being about what they're about. This is a film about filmmaking, and it's really cool to look at it through that metaphorical lens. Rian Johnson, The Boy. We got Knives Out. This is one, if you haven't seen it, this to me is a modern day classic. It breathes new life into the whodunit genre, and it's really funny. It's really great. You've got Daniel Craig giving his best Colonel Sanders impression. It's a really good movie. I don't remember buying this, but I have the Criterion Collector's Edition of The Beatles' A Hard Day's Night. I remember it being a lot of fun. I just don't remember buying it. Get Out. I saw this in the theater. It was the end of its release cycle, and it was like a Tuesday, so I was the only person in the theater, and I was so scared. I was like, how scary is it gonna be? It's not very scary. But it is very good. This is an interesting one. We've got a Man with No Name double feature. This is, of course, Clint Eastwood's character in the Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns. We've got Fistful of Dollars and A Few Dollars More. This completes the trilogy along with Good, the Bad, and the Ugly over here. I watched all these with my dad on the couch over some Sunday afternoons or whatever. And that's a good time. Some really good music in these films, and also inspired some of my favorite video games of all time. I'm talking, of course, about the Boktai series, Hideo Kojima's series of Solar Sensor Game Boy Advance games. But that's another video. Ooh, we got a repeat, Fantastic Mr. Fox. Oh, more Chris Nolan. We got Dunkirk. Dunkirk, I still think about sometimes, really interesting in the way it tells its story with the time jumping. Here we are. We got a big old Criterion edition. Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. Just rewatched this a couple of months ago. It's so goddamn good. From the minute you turn this thing on and you have that extended dance sequence over the opening credits, and it is just capturing you. It's so powerful. Hey, do you like Whiplash? Because I've got The Breakfast Club. Ooh, yes. We've got Blade Runner, and you might be asking, which one? This is the 3-disc complete collector's edition. This has the final cut, making of, we have the US theatrical cut, the international theatrical cut, the director's cut. There are a lot of different cuts of this film. I recommend either the director's cut or the final cut, probably most likely the final cut. Just all-time sci-fi, cyberpunk adjacent. Just extremely good. Going back to Edgar Wright, we got Baby Driver here. There are scenes of this movie that I enjoy, but as a whole, I don't know that I like it. It's also one of those movies where I like the soundtrack more than the movie itself, which is interesting. I think it lets itself down in a lot of different ways. I think the ending kind of falls apart, and it doesn't have a lot of solid ground to stand on to begin with. It doesn't develop the areas that it maybe should develop. I don't really know what happened here. Let's go back in time. Let's hop back on the Criterion train. We got Babette's Feast here. This is one that I'm sure many viewers will not have heard of. This is a film that I watched there was some on-campus event. I haven't watched it since that day. I just remember the feel of it and how, like, warm and special. It's like it takes place in Scandinavia, I think. I think it's Danish. I think it's a Danish film. And so you start in this, like, cold, snow-covered landscape, and it slowly gets, you know, warmer and warmer as everybody gets closer to each other, and it all culminates in this big feast, and everybody kind of opens up to... It's good. It's interesting. You should watch it. Atomic Blonde. You want to watch Charlize Theron beat people up? I know I do. Arrival. Saw this film in theaters, and it made me cry. Alien. Back to Ridley Scott. Alien is another all-time sci-fi horror film. If you've not seen Alien, and you're not too afraid of it, even if you are too afraid of it, you shouldn't be. You gotta break that seal. You should watch Alien. Akira. I told you wouldn't see much anime on this list, but here's a little bit more. Here's Akira. The story is basically capitalism drives this kid to the brink, and then I think he becomes the universe. 2001, Stanley Kubrick. This is one of my favorite films of all time, of course. The story is basically a robot drives an astronaut to the brink, and then I think he becomes the universe. Closing out the final column here, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Dan Trachtenberg, who went from directing a Portal short on YouTube to directing a feature film produced by J.J. Abrams. Exciting stuff. Also, a really good bottle movie. 3 people stuck in a place they don't want to be stuck. Now that may have completed the final column of my movie shelf, but there's still a lot of room here. I feel like there should be many more films. This is the stack of things I haven't watched yet. Parasite is here only because I already had the Blu-ray when I bought it on Criterion, and it wouldn't fit anywhere else. Waking Life. Apparently it was $5. This is a film that was shot and then hand animated over top of The Shining. This kind of crappy DVD is the only physical edition I have access to. I still have never watched The Shining. I should definitely do that at some point because I understand it's beautiful and quite good. Battlestar Galactica: The Plan. This is a film that I had no idea even existed before or after I had watched the series until I came across it. It is purportedly a feature film that fills in some of the blanks and proves that the Cylons really did have a plan as purported in the opening theme of the television show. I still have my doubts. Ghost in the Shell, our third and final anime. I really gotta get on watching Ghost in the Shell. Not the Scarlett Johansson one. We got 2010, The Year We Made Contact, the shocking sequel to 2001. Very different film, to my understanding, but it's got Roy Scheider and John Lithgow and Helen Mirren and Bob Balaban. I gotta watch this movie. All right, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I have seen this film, but it's when I was a child, and I have not watched this copy. So it still goes in, and I still need to watch it again. Brothers Bloom, I believe this completes, or will complete once I've watched it, my compendium of Rian Johnson films. Hail Caesar, another Coen Brothers film. I really need to flesh out my viewing of Coen Brothers movies. Arcade Fire, The Reflector Tapes. This is, I believe, a collection of performances of Arcade Fire during the Reflector period. We got Charlie Chaplin, The Great Dictator, and the Criterion. I bought this back when we had a Great Dictator, and never got around to it because it felt too real. And finally, as John Goodman's smiling upside-down face beams at me, we have True Stories, a David Byrne film. I'm a fan of David Byrne's. I still haven't seen American Utopia, but I'm a big Talking Heads fan, and I'm a big fan of the Stop Making Sense film. And David Byrne, generally as a person, seems like someone whose other work I would very much enjoy. So I'm looking forward to getting around to finally watching this. All right, folks, this is it. My butt really hurts from sitting here, but we've come to our final piece of the movie shelf, and that is also the most recent addition to the movie shelf. It is fitting that it's at the end because it's half in, half out. Or more or less. The numbers don't exactly add up there. Films I haven't seen and films I have. This is also the most recent addition to the Criterion Collection. It is The World of Wong Kar-wai. This is a beautiful collector's edition of films that have been out of print for a while and that I have really been wanting to get my hands on. It opens as if it holds the equation to all life. It's really pretty. You've got As Tears Go By, Days of Being Wild, Chungking Express, Fallen Angels, Happy Together, In the Mood for Love, and 2046. Of those, I have seen Fallen Angels and Chungking Express. Fallen Angels I watched in film studies class in school, and then I sought out Chungking Express on my own because I really wanted to see it, and I'm just in love with this director, and so I'm keen to see the rest of his work. Dreamy, interesting, beautiful films, and I'm excited for the rest of them. And I mean, just look at this thing. It's gorgeous. And there we are, folks. That is gonna do it. That's everything on my movie shelf to date as of March 2021. Thank you as always for watching. Thank you also to my most recent patrons for the month of March, Shannon and Nate. Thank you both so very much for your contributions. Really appreciate it. Thank you also to everyone who has subscribed in the first month-ish of Vlogginigan existing once more. This is an exciting project, a nice little offshoot to have and go put things, just kind of keep me agile and using my camera, which feels very good. I hope you enjoyed this look, and if you're interested in voting on future Vlogginigan topics, you can head on over to patreon.com/eganworks, sign up, $3 will get you voting rights. Tell me what to make. Anyway, that's gonna do it, so thank you once again, and you'll see me very soon.